So I always end up getting this question: Isra, what is the best programming language to learn if I'm new to development or just learning to code? And up until today, I think my kind of answer has always been Python, but then I kind of sat back and was like, why? The Stack Overflow 2022 survey has come out, and JavaScript is king. For professionals, it's being used. It's a very loved language. And I was like, and it started clicking. Like, why don't I recommend JavaScript more? And then I was like, I should be recommending JavaScript more. You can do front end, back end, literally everything you want to do with it. You can just do with JavaScript or variations of it. So let's talk about why JavaScript is a language you should be starting out with. And if you end up finding this video useful, please drop a like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the other lovely content. So if we look at the Stack Overflow Dev Survey for 2022, we see that when it comes to most commonly used programming languages, and if we filter by professional developers, we see that JavaScript is at the top. So what has made me change my opinion from Python to JavaScript? I still think Python is awesome. I think Python is not that difficult to learn. I think it's probably still the easiest language to learn. But I think when it comes to JavaScript, your career can just go in so many different places, and you are way more versatile with JavaScript than I think with Python. And I think there's just more opportunities as a newer developer with JavaScript than with Python. I do feel that maybe you need a little bit more experience in the industry before you can like jump into a Python job, if that makes sense. But that's at least kind of how I feel about it. And like I was saying, I think with JavaScript, you can quickly make an impact and kind of get your career going, whether it's front end, when it comes to, you know, these JavaScript based front end frameworks like React, Vue, Angular, which is TypeScript, but it's still not that big of a jump from JavaScript. You can realistically know this language and you'll be able to create dynamic UIs and just jump into the front end and just be contributing almost immediately. And I mean, that's not even without mentioning just plain old vanilla JavaScript. And then still using React, you know, with React Native, you can also create mobile apps. You can kind of dive into that whole sector. So now you're already touching front end, you're now touching mobile apps. And that's, again, just another reason someone might want you. Granted, React Native isn't like the primary way people, I guess, build mobile apps, but it could be an option. You never know. And on the backend side, we have Node.js, which has made huge strides in the last few years in becoming an actual player when it comes to being taken seriously. Kind of as it's the framework that it is, which is not strictly backend, but it's primarily used in pair with Express to become kind of a backend using JavaScript. And now you kind of see the connection that I'm making, where it's just like with just this one language, JavaScript, you can do a front end, you can do a back end, you can do mobile if you wanted to. You're just extremely flexible, and that just opens, I think, your world to so many different jobs, while also it's a language that I don't think is that different and could then, at that point, you know, JavaScript, you can go into all these different frameworks. You can just spread your wings and just kind of explore all of that. And I think there's so many opportunities, and the opportunities with JavaScript are only going to continue growing because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And like I said, JavaScript is not going anywhere. It's been popular forever and will continue to be popular. It's going to continue spawning different JavaScript frameworks just like it's been doing. And like I said, companies are already using all these technologies and frameworks, and there are some that are even trying to go for a full kind of JavaScript front end, JavaScript back end, and we only hire JavaScript developers. And it's just like, I guess, cost effective and more efficient, and there's like team synergy because everyone just knows JavaScript. I don't think this is going to be the norm, but I do know that some companies have tried and are doing that right now. So JavaScript is going to continue to be extremely popular, and if you're new to the coding world, I highly recommend that you dive in and polish up those JavaScript skills. But if you already knew this and you're kind of curious to what you don't know, then check out this video about the 10 things all developers need to know.